contamination by habits of the past that don't serve us anymore, but they are there just because, habits are there. We've created them due to circumstances or situations. And so how do we kind of help ourselves to not get back into those old patterns? And I want to actually share a little story, and it's something that perhaps we can identify with, because what happens is that in our lives, generally, when we on a mission, in a sense, to either fulfill our life's purpose or whatever we want to do, we set certain goals for us. And sometimes we can get so driven to do what we need to do that, and I'm not saying this as a general rule, but it can happen that our focus is so much on getting to the thing we want that sometimes our principles can be compromised, because we get a little bit, I would say, like desperate, not determined, but it's more like desperate. So we think, okay, whatever it takes, let me just do it. A little example I can give is when I'm feeling really sleepy and I say to myself, no coffee. But when I'm really sleepy and I got no time to sleep, then I'll say, okay, just a bit of coffee. So I feel that's like compromising. It's a simple one, but it's definitely a compromise. But there are other things that does happen in our lives which can create a similar kind of compromise. So the story goes like this. There's a guy who's a youngster who just got married, and he becomes a CEO of a company he's always wanted to really head. And so he gets this appointment to be the CEO at the verge of his firstborn child to be born. And so what happens is that, there he has to attend certain meetings and inaugural ceremonies and all of it. And his wife goes into labor. And so then he misses the opportunity. But in any case, the child is born. And now when he starts with this new assignment, there's this new baby in the house. But the wife obviously opts to stay at home and take care of the child. And so regularly she'll wake up early in the morning, at night, in the middle of the night, see to the child and create less distractions for the husband. But one night what happens is that as he goes to sleep and they're all fast asleep, the baby wakes up in the middle of the night. And that specific day, evening, the wife wasn't the first to wake up. He actually wakes up. And as he wakes up, he has this feeling, wow, she wakes up every night. Let me wake up today and let me see to my child. So that's his pure, true intention as a parent, to actually fulfill that feeling. But what happens is that as he's lying there thinking, oh, if I wake up now, I'm going to be tired the whole day. And I got meetings and I got this and I got that. And then as soon as he creates that waste thought, in a sense, starting to worry about what's going to happen to him, that pure feeling he had to get up as the father to take care of his child is changed. And he'll say, in his mind, he started saying, oh, look at my wife. She's here the whole day, but now she's so lazy, she doesn't want to wake up. And he starts creating thoughts that are not good towards her. Now, why I want to tell you this story is because his intrinsic natural state was, when he heard the child wake up, as a parent, he responded in the right way from the core of himself to attend to the child. And then he had a second thought. He became conscious of all his responsibilities and his work, and he started thinking about himself in his executive role, in his position as CEO. That's when he began to now criticize. So what happens to us as well when we, in our natural state, uninfluenced by our roles, responsibilities, name, fame, all of it, we respond very differently. But when those things are at stake, my honor, my name, this, that, and the other, then we go into another mode. That's when we start comparing, criticizing, and we get into that mode. So this is really a very, I would say, for me, I feel it's a very dangerous setup, because as soon as I start making Whatever I feel my life's purpose is somebody else's, business, where I feel, oh, why they're not doing it, why I have to do it. Even if I'm using that language, I'm actually going into what I would say is called self-deception. And I then put myself into a box. And the box that I've created for myself is that I am a CEO. I only have this many hours and I do so much. And I start then doing the I, but, and that box actually limits me, and when we go into that kind of limitation, we actually cutting the strings of power, because we actually can do a lot more. I found out that, even things like food, the human body can do without intake of food for many days before it will just die. But if we haven't eaten for 24 hours, we think, oh, I better eat, otherwise I'm going to die. But the thing is that it's just our limited perceptions of these things. So it's very important for us to be able to realize that. So, for example, if I don't really feel hungry, I shouldn't just eat because I'm telling myself, oh, I will get sick if I don't eat. If the body doesn't need food, it'll say to you, don't eat so much today, or don't eat even. So there is a natural instinctive voice inside of us, which we need to also listen to before we cloud it with all the things of the world that has created many rules and regulation. I call them society's norms. And so when we always try and fit into society's norms, this very true, pure voice that is inside of me, my authentic self, gets suppressed. And unfortunately, is this little voice is a very soft voice. It's a very quiet voice. And it's a voice that perhaps other people won't understand. But if I suppress that voice, then I'm really, in a way, suppressing, killing something of myself. And then I just get into the box that the world has created. And these boxes, I know we can list all the boxes that there are in the world. So we want to fit into the world. And so we create the box for ourselves, or the box is created and we just jump into it. And then we want to live our lives based on that. It takes a lot of courage to get out of the box, to actually give preference to what I understand to be the truth, to be able to understand that that voice inside of me is the truth. And that voice sometimes won't be supported by the norms of society. But if I become quiet and I spend more time listening to that voice, it gives me a chance to then rid myself of what I would say acquired habits, things that I've learned, acquired behaviors that I've picked up because I am with other people, with communities. And there are a lot of things that we learn culturally. I'm not putting down culture or whatever it is. I just want to say that there are a lot of things that we do because we are in communities. So to be me without letting myself be compromised, it takes a little bit of courage, but it does mean that I need to listen to that. And when that first voice comes, it's coming from your truth without any selfishness. So in that CEO's situation, when he woke up in the morning and he heard his cry of the baby, it was the father in him that naturally wanted to care and be loving. And if he responded, he would have had that privilege to feel the care he could offer the child. And when the child would have quieted down, the satisfaction he would have experienced. He compromised all of that because he thought, oh, I can't really put myself into this situation and tire myself. I have to do this. So he became a little selfish. And in that selfishness, his generous heart actually closed. And so this is something, we could sometimes want to go out of our way for somebody and we'll think, oh, it's not worth it to go out of your way. People don't really appreciate it. It's not about whether people appreciate it. If I had the thought to do something for someone and I do it with that thought, not because I want something in return, I grow. I am able to then increase my power. I will also see that I'm increasing my capacity. So it's a very special thing to be able to give time to ourselves and to listen to that little voice that is so unique. It's absolutely out of this world, I would say. And that voice will not always be what other people appreciate. It's not even the way people will sometimes work with, but it will be appreciated by others because it's coming from a very pure, authentic state. So yeah, that's the one input I wanted to give in terms of just understanding how we must get out of the boxes that have been created. And those boxes are going to always be there. They're labeled and they're there for us because if we don't have the courage to be me, I would like to fit into a box. But if I have enough faith in myself, and it's building up to all the things that we've done so far, the nurturing the self, the valuing for the self, when all of those things are in place, it allows me to then have the courage to actually to do what that inner little voice is telling me to do. So I'm just thinking, before I go into a meditation, Sister Devanti, is there something you'd like to kind of add to that? Kind of just highlight or amplify something that came to you?
Yes, thank you very much. And, it really just felt so right, almost like a meditation commentary when you were initially describing this voice and trusting yourself enough to stay connected to that voice and to be guided by that voice. And I started asking myself the question as you were speaking about how do I actually discern when there's other impulses and compulsions and sort of desires or even fear-based type of instincts that, pop up. And I think all of those things, like you were mentioning, they in some way more connected to societal norms. But for me, I think it's quite a delicate art of discerning. That inner voice, that very intuitive voice, I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong. When I asked myself the question, the answer I got is that I think it will bring a feeling of like a settled feeling. When you know that this feels right, this is connected to truth, and when I act from it, I'm actually acting from the deepest space internally. But there's other voices and pulls, that sometimes might come, and I don't think that those voices have peace. They don't bring peace. There'll be some sort of restlessness, some sort of discomfort, and usually connected to a demand, an expectation, a fear. And for me, I think that is the way to discern. And to also know, because societal norms, I think are on so many different levels. The first level is the actual things that are said and are created as rules and regulations. But there's also unspoken societal norms, and like you mentioned, even cultural sort of barriers and things which are not really stated, but you would feel an opposition or a rejection if you go against it. And you're right, it takes a lot of courage, to be able to surpass all of that and stay true and connected. So it is this art of really discerning for yourself what my inner truth is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you were asking that question, how can I, and I see in the chat, there's a question similar to that. How do I discern between my authentic inner voice and the impromptu reactions versus responding? And so one other thing that you can also see is that when that inner voice is speaking, it will be a voice that is not defensive. It's not a voice that is coming through, which is comparing or competing. It's a very natural state where it's asking me to be bigger. I feel that when we go into where we start becoming small and victim consciousness, then you into your old perceptions and old boxes. I feel that this inner voice is always a very strong voice. It's a very compassionate voice. It'll always be for caring for others. You know, it'll put others first. It'll be that kind of voice. So I don't think it's difficult to discern, but if we're not used to checking ourselves, like, see, yesterday, some of the things that we did in our practice, we said is that, let me check my feelings as I'm speaking, as I'm talking. I'll start realizing, are my feelings good feelings? And if I'm starting to create that habit of being in tune to my pure feelings, then I'm going to start getting used to checking those kind of things as well. So can you see it's a little bit of a build up? It's like today we spoke about it, but it doesn't mean because we spoke about it, there we go, voila. Now we have an aim to work towards. And if we keep building on it, and I feel that it's very important what I do from the time that I wake up till the time that I go sleep, which means the thoughts I think, the words I speak, and the actions I perform, all of those things are the contributing factors to the overall kind of a stage I'm creating for myself. So it's not because I meditated 10 minutes that, oh, I'm done deal, and then I carry on living like I want to live. I feel that it's this spiritual journey is about taking the little steps second by second, minute by minute, and being mindful about it in every single way. And then you're building a kind of a way of life. So then it doesn't become difficult because, there's some very new students that we be working on online. And this young lady was telling me that it's so funny that when she moves her thoughts away from herself and start worrying about others, she can immediately feel that she's like going in an imbalanced state. And then she finds when she's balanced, the energy she can project to others is very authentic and it's long lasting. It doesn't feel like it's draining you. So that's the other thing I want to highlight about your authentic inner self is that when you do it, it doesn't feel like a task. It feels like a pleasure. It's something you want to honor, which is, I think, a nice thing. Maybe I want to just do this into a little form of a commentary, but let's just reflect for a few moments and go into a kind of a silence. So as I observe myself, even just sitting in front of the screen in this moment, just take a moment and view myself from behind my eyes and realize that I, this beautiful being of light, is really a being that is composed of the most beautiful values, the values that define who I truly am. I am peace. This is my natural nature. I am love. I have the attitude of acceptance and understanding for each individual. And this attitude allows me to feel the belonging, the oneness, and the closeness. This is my quality of love. I am pure, authentic, in the very core of my being. I am free from taking. I am free from copying. I'm so comfortable just being me. I have accepted who I am, and I'm okay with that. That's my pure, authentic self. I am happy. I experience within myself that abundance of all attainments. There is nothing lacking. I feel that sense of having whatever I need. And this beautiful attitude of feeling that I've attained, allows me to be happy. I am joy. There is this beautiful balance within myself. Nothing too much, nothing too little. I have found that mediocre stage of just being simple and easy and light. And this leaves me in a beautiful feeling of being in joy. I am joy. I am wise. I have the depth of understanding, knowing who I am, where I come from, allows me to understand the past, the present, and the future. This leaves me always in a state of being rested and settled. I am wise. I am power, the power that allows me to sustain whatever I end up doing. I have that ability to be resilient and tolerant. So as I think about my inner values, I realize that these are my foundation stones. And the more I rest my mind, the more I allow my heart to be embedded in these values, and then allow these values to flow through my actions, whether those actions are just mere thoughts, or those actions are words, or very much interactions with individuals. Each value is transmitted into a beautiful vibration as I go about my daily activity. Om Shanti. So I think it's very beautiful for us to use these values as like the background to all the things we do, and let my actions always filter these virtues or these values. And then it makes, like an artist will always want to create a beautiful picture. It's like we also, with our values, we're creating beautiful images with our words, with our thoughts, and with the things that we do. Okay, so I don't know, any final words from you, Sister Devendri?
Not much, but just I'm thinking it's really time to review all the boundaries. Yeah,
Definitely. And sometimes what happens is that we've become a little afraid because we want to fit into the world. And somebody created some mold and we're all trying to fit into that mold. So I feel sometimes, if we take one step, and this kind of step is not going to hurt anybody because it's going to make me feel happier. And when I do work with that kind of consciousness, it's definitely going to bring benefit to others as well. So when we take that first step, I think we give others permission to do the same. And I think this year, that's the boldness we need to have, in a sense. Don't be afraid of being you. Only peace will flow, nothing more. So we got very, very little to risk, I would say. But if we create that culture of giving and sharing from the basis of our values, I think we're only going to be left feeling at the end of the day so satisfied, feel so blessed. And when that good energy comes to us, it's like we get more power. So connecting to the idea of that willpower, when I'm collecting good wishes because I'm giving out good, I actually accumulate strength. And that then becomes the motivation for me to even do more. And so definitely, I promise you'll never get worn out. I'm almost giving you a guarantee that, they say hard work never kills anyone, but good wishes also never tires anyone out. So let's stick to that. So perhaps we can have our song now, and we can continue to reflect. And then thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks.
It's through your wounds that the light gets in. It's in the darkest room that the candle glows. It's at the bottom of the deepest well that the softest earth will break your fall. It's on the mountain that I learned the most. It's when I fell down that I knew my strength. It's not my mistakes tell you who I am, but what I do with them and who I will become. And I will rise like a poor child given a chance, and I will rise like the sun up through the clouds, and I will rise every time that I sing, and when I fall, I'll fall gracefully, 'cause when I fall, I am given wings. Though I am poisoned, though I'm dark and sad, though I am angry at pictures from my past, I am both loving, I am pure and light, I am shadow and mist, both the peace and the fight. It's through your tears that you'll see his face. It's through surrender that you'll ride the wave. And if the walls are built to block your path, just get up and find another way. And I will rise like a poor child given a chance, and I will rise like the sun up through the clouds, and I will rise every time that I sing, and when I fall, I'll fall gracefully, 'cause when I fall, I am given